Yeah, absolutely. I didn't. We got it early on in the season, and then we just kind of tailed off, and that was kind of what would be the right word, John? Rebirth.
Recalibrate.
There you go.
Yeah. Similar effort you're going to need on Tuesday night at Texas Tech, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they play hard. They play hard. They have so many people who are kind of the same. You know, they're all 6'4", 6'5". They're all strong. They all can play inside and outside, and they bother you with length.
Last thing for me, you tweaked a bit your lineup to counteract the size and the wings that Kansas had. Is that something similar that could maybe offset some of the things that Texas Tech does with their size?
I mean, that was part of the reason that I did it, but the real reason or the initial thought was we got nothing off the bench, you know, in terms of enthusiasm and somebody coming in that was going to uplift us a little bit, and I thought Jordan would do that. And, you know, they all respect the heck out of him, and I just thought he could be our. You know, I did that a lot. I did it a lot at Cincinnati, bringing guys off the bench who just really raised our intensity level. And I really thought that would happen, and it didn't work out that way. Not of any fault of Jordan's, for sure.
We'll go to Justin.
Hey, Coach, obviously McClung has continued to play pretty well, since you guys saw him the first time. He did have an off night against Oklahoma. Just kind of wondering what you saw there. Was there anything Oklahoma did, or did he just have a bad night? And then, obviously, what kind of adjustments can you make against him the second time around?
Well, I mean, whenever guys scorers have a bad night, it's generally a combination of things. And I think, Oklahoma had, something to do with it, but he also just didn't, you don't shoot it well every game. Nobody does. So I think it was a combination of he wasn't shooting it as well, and they did a great job on him.
And then do you adjust to him at all differently from the first game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we're better now.
Right.
The first game. I think we're better defensively than we were the first game. But other than that, no. I mean, I kind of like where we were the last game. I thought our intensity was better. Our rotations were better. We were sending people where we wanted them to go. That's what we got to do. We just got to maintain some consistency in that regard.
Greg Hunter.
So, Bob, going back to a little bit about what you're looking for off the bench, I mean, you had that sort of super sub instant offense guy with people like Jayshawn in the past. You had Taz doing that earlier, but now he's in the starting lineup. Do you like Taz coming off the bench with that role, or are you happy with him in the starting lineup doing what he is now?
No, I think he played better starting the game. I think maybe got a little better feel or whatever, but no, I like what we did. Why screw with it? It was successful. Why screw with it?
Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Bob, Deuce has had a lot of success early in his career. Do you see any similarities between him and what JC did, both on and off the court early in their career?
Who's that?
Deuce and Javon.
Deuce is at the same point a lot more skilled than JC was. JC was just the hardest playing most competitive dude, and Deuce is very competitive as well. But I think from an offensive standpoint, I think Deuce is ahead of JC, and obviously I think JC was ahead of Deuce defensively. And even when JC was a freshman, we put him on the best people.
Ethan Bach.
Hey, Coach, with the pause in January, the Oklahoma State and TCU games got postponed. Is there any talk about rescheduling those games, or are those scrapped?
I don't think they're scrapping any. I think the plan is everybody plays all their games. That's why they left that week between the end of the season and in the conference tournament. I mean, I think the plan is to play 2 and I don't know, maybe 3 games in there for some people, like they're doing to us in Texas, the next road trip after this
Kevin Kinder.
Coach, following up on making changes to the lineup, your rotation like that, has it been the case for you most years, and going back to Cincinnati, that it was a process of playing some games, figuring out where guys responded better, played better? You know, have there been very many instances where, hey, here's our starting lineup, here's our top 3 or 4 off the bench, and it's stayed that way all year?
Well, over the years, guys have actually came to me and said they felt more comfortable coming off the bench, that they could sit there and see what was going on and see what they could take advantage of, or actually maybe the guy they were going to guard tended to pick up tendencies a little bit better. So you know, it's been a give and take deal. I mean, I think, you know, you put guys out there that want to play that position or that spot. You don't, you know, why you want to fight with them about doing what they don't want to do? You got to fight with them enough things.
Back to John.
Bill mentioned Saturday he couldn't remember the last time he had a pair of guards score 56 against his defense. Where is Deuce and Taz as far as guys that you've had with the ability to score, and understanding too that they need the consistency, obviously do it on a consistent basis?
Well, I think the guards that we had with JC and Dax and Tariq and Tavon was, I mean, those guys could score the ball. They could all score the ball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I had Van Exel and Buford.
Okay.
I had 2 pros. Actually, one of them was an NBA All-Star. So
Nobody with Logan though, right? Logan was the primary guy, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Back to Greg.
So, Bobby, you've talked a lot about travel in this league, and you can't change the distance, but the 9 o'clock starts have got to be a tough part of it. Have you talked to anybody in the league about not having as many of those? Is that just TV dictated and you can't do anything about it?
We've talked to them since the beginning. And what I'd like for them to do is just ride with us, you know, a few times. I think maybe if they rode with us and then what I'd really liked is when we get home, we're going to get home at 5 o'clock or later a.m. And then our guys have to go to class and have to go to study hall. And I'd like for those guys to have to go to class and sit in class and not fall asleep, and go to study hall and not be groggy, and, you know, and then find out and say, hey man, this is, I mean, why do we do this to these people? There's, I mean, there's, and I understand the TV part of it. I mean, you know, I've been working with TV for a long time, but you know, whenever you're going to get back at 5 a.m., I don't know how in the world, with all the rhetoric that we get about what's the best, we want to do the best for student athletes, the betterment of student athletes. We're just starting a new term here, you know, And so those guys, man, that puts those guys behind the eight ball, and nobody seems to think about it or care about it. And I've talked to Shane about it. Shane's talked to people about it. But it hadn't changed.
Back to Justin.
Obviously the first game against Texas Tech this year was, high scoring and goes down to the last seconds of the game. Do you see a similar kind of style of play between these two teams? Would it surprise you if it was another game, pushing 90 by both teams?
Yeah, it would surprise me, because generally speaking, it's been a rock fight, but we guarded way better than what we were guarding at that point in time as well.
Yeah. Are they?
Pardon?
Is Texas Tech as well guarding better?
No, I think they've guarded pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Throughout. They switch everything. They've got all those guys. They're all about the same size. They're all 6'5", 6'6", and they're all physically very strong.
Joe Mercado.
Coach, they've had at Tech about 4,200 fans the last couple of games. When you combine the travel, the opponent, and probably the largest crowd you're going to see, does this make it probably the toughest road trip of the year?
It's the toughest road trip of the year because we're going to get back at 5 a.m. I mean, it's hard to sleep on the plane. I mean, listen, our people have done a great job of making sure that we had, planes where our guys could stretch out a little bit, but man, that ain't going to bed though, and it's just hard, man. It's harder than I think anybody could imagine it was. I mean, it's one thing to stay up all night and play cards. It's another thing to play a game, rush out there, sit on the plane while they de-ice and do all the other stuff that they do. I mean, that's what people don't get. I mean, it's not, you just don't go out there, jump on a plane and the plane flies away. We were on the runway, the last away game, we were probably on a runway an hour, sitting in the plane for an hour before we actually took off. So it's not a lot of fun. Better than bussing though.
Back to John.
I'd say that bus trip to Lubbock, that'd be one hell of a trip right there.
Yeah, even if you had the coach that Coach Calipari has there, all the everything money can buy on it, that's I mean, that'd even be rough, no doubt.
Hey, going back to the first Texas Tech game, if I remember correctly, you had some guys, you were coming off that long pause. You had some guys you were trying to work back into shape, but you shot the ball really well, particularly from three. Was it a matter of open shots, contested shots, your guys just knocking down contested shots? What do you remember from that first game against them?
Well, they play, it's not pack line, but it is a variation of pack line. And so they're gonna try to fortify the paint, not give you easy baskets. Try to make you shoot shots on the perimeter. And really pick out who they want to shoot those shots. Not necessarily who we want, but who they want to leave open to shoot shots and try to really cover up the people that they feel like are shot makers.
Generally speaking, if I remember this correctly, against other pack line teams you play, the shots are available along the baseline. That's where they usually are?
Well, they're on the perimeter.
Okay.
They don't necessarily have to be on the baseline, but they're on the perimeter.
Okay.
Greg
I'm
Hunter.
good.
Hey, Bob, some more with Gabe. We talked about him a little bit after the game, and he sort of compared him a little bit to Cam Thurman. Any others that he reminds you of? The guy that can do a little of everything but doesn't hardly ever score?
I mean, yeah, I mean, over the years, I've had guys like that. Curtis Bostic comes to mind, who was a terrific athlete, but was really content on guarding. I mean, really, for that matter, I mean, the best defender I've ever had is Kenyon, obviously. He could guard a guard, he could guard a center, he could guard anybody. But when we pressed, you have to have guys who are good on the ball. And when you talk about a great defender, Sagaba Kanante was a great defender. He erased a lot of mistakes. I mean, there's different ways when you talk about who was the better defenders. There's different ways, I think, that people can defend. It's not just a guy guarding the ball. Now, JC's the best we've ever had guarding the ball, without a question. But then we've had guys that were phenomenal help defenders. Tariq Phillip comes to mind, and then you get, I mean, Sags is probably a once in a lifetime deal, a guy that could block shots that well.
Justin.
Coach, someone asked earlier about those 2 games that still need to be rescheduled. If they get put at the end of the year, that could kind of give you basically 3 home games to finish the regular season. Obviously, that could be a good situation for you guys. Is that kind of what you're projecting will happen with I think it's TCU and Oklahoma State?
Just all I can tell you is what we've been told, and we've been told that every effort will be made to play all the league games.
Right.
And we were also told that the reason that they left that last week before the conference tournament, the reason they left that blank was to be able to fix the problem of the non-played games that we could so and yeah, I mean, it's very, very possible we could end up with 3 home games at the end.
Are you surprised at all that those games haven't been announced yet? I mean, it's been right. I mean,
not really, Justin, because I mean, if you think about it, just last week, Baylor was out again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I really think they want to see, to get through what we have scheduled to this point and then see what we have left. And I mean, it's conceivable that another team, or possibly 2, could have to take a break.
Right.
Greg.
So, Bob, along those lines, Baylor on pause. Has the league told you? Are you positive you'll be able to play those Baylor games as they're currently scheduled?
I don't know anything other than the next game, and I'm not sure I want to. We're taking it one at a time and trying to prepare as best we possibly can for one at a time. And I understand it's TV and all that, but I mean, it's hard. You play a game like we played against Kansas, and then turn around and travel then a day later, have one day to watch some film and try to get the guys back thinking about Texas Tech. And that's the thing about this league. There's just you don't get any breaks. You look around some of those other leagues, and there are people where you say, well, okay, we don't have to be at the top of our game. Particularly when you play one of those teams at home. This league, I just sitting there watching Kansas State and Texas Tech. Kansas State gave them a heck of a game. I mean, it was tough, and shoot, they're at the bottom of our league. Iowa State just loses by 4 at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's pretty good, guys. And if you look at Iowa State's scores, they've been in most of the games. They just couldn't get over the hump.
John.
Last one for me. You mentioned 3. That's probably the maximum number of games that you could probably fit into that last week, you think, to get to the tournament? I guess the tournament would be what, Wednesday or Thursday of the following week. Could they conceivably even go up to like Monday?
We're playing 3 and 5 days or 6
Yeah.
days. I'm sorry. It was 3 and 5 days. And then they moved it 1 day for us.
So you could think they could go 4 if they had to?
I guess they could, but I think it'd be rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, 3 and 6 is tough enough, and they're all road games. And you know, which again, and I understand the whys and the wherefores and all that, but we're taking our guys out of school for a week for the 3 and 6 days, and then we're going to probably have to take them out of school again if we play the week before the conference tournament, and then we're going to take them out again for the conference tournament, and then we're going to take them out again for the NCAA tournament.
In your deal, though, you don't want to lose those home games, particularly now since you're opening up to some fans.
Well, we make so much money, you know, with fans coming in. It's tough to give up all that money, John, you know. No, you know, hopefully as we continue to get through this deal, hopefully we're able to find a way to, you know, put more and more people in, which they have, you know, they have to this point. I mean, but you hope that it would continue.
One other thing that popped into my head here before you get off here, and this is looking ahead to, say, the NCAA tournament. I think I read someplace where the NCAA is going to bus teams from a certain distance, and you would probably fall in that mileage range where you bus. Is that, have you looked into that at all?
John, they did it to us when we were in Cleveland.
Okay.
They did it to us when we played Kentucky. We went up the night before and I believe played at noon.
Mhm.
And that outcome wasn't very good, if you'll remember. That was a Sweet 16 game.
Yeah.
But we
I just-
and listen to this. This is beautiful because we're in Cleveland. We beat Maryland
Yeah.
in
Remember that.
the second game of the tournament. Heck of a game. I mean, a hard fought game. So here's what happens. We go out, we get on a bus and we got to drive back to Morgantown. We then have to turn around and come back to play Kentucky in the Sweet 16. Kentucky played at Louisville. They played at noon. We played at 9 o'clock. They played at noon. They played the game and we're back for dinner. You know, I mean,
Well, I bring that up because of all the travel you got to do. You're like the Washington Generals right now.
well, hopefully a little more successful than that.
I'm good, thanks.
Coach, I think that's it. Thanks for your time today, and we'll talk to everyone tomorrow evening postgame. Thank you.
Sounds good, Mess. I'll see you after practice.
Can't wait, Coach.
All right.